Well, that's entrepreneurship at its best in the creative industry, and that is a discussion that we will be having here, but we will not be talking about the creative industry. I'm joined by Stephen Wanyama, who is the CEO, Aliad Kenya. We are looking at entrepreneurship. Karibu sana, Bwana CEO.
Thank you, Ben.
Maybe for Kenyans who do not know exactly what you do, guys, Aliad, what do you do, and especially when it comes to boosting up entrepreneurship?
Thank you very much. First, I introduce myself again. My name is Stephen Wanyama. I'm the CEO of Aliad Logistics Limited. Currently, what we are doing, we are venturing into the field of supply and logistics. And we have several services that we offer, mainly typical freight forwarding services like air and ocean. We door-to-door services from origin to destination within and outside the country. Then secondly, we offer customs clearance. We have a team, a elaborate team that has experience, has been trained well enough to deal with customs officials and are compliant. We have an AO certification that we're able to clear goods. We also have warehousing, and warehousing is in-depth, which we'll talk much about it. And then we have transport. You will see our trucks all over Kenya. We are venturing into Kenya being a gateway into this region. We have the opportunity of dealing with our customers outside this region.
More or less like logistics.
Correct.
Yeah. And I'm looking at the opportunities that we have, and especially when it comes to suppliers and logistics. What opportunities do you have?
Yeah, first I'll start. We have 100 suppliers, and from a typical logistics company, mainly we'll have non-trade and trade. And we have, of course, the mandatory suppliers, with the government, and we have the carriers. But also we have transporters, we have fuel supply companies. By rebranding recently, we've introduced one key component called sourcing. Sourcing is where we've gone one step ahead to buy food items from the producers and introduce them to our global market, where we supply humanitarian organizations and some global companies. Here, outside this region, we are dealing with over 5,500 suppliers. This is an opportunity that I know we'll talk about today, and it's recently we had a forum where we information to the media and to the public that there's this opportunity.
A very quick question. Why did you decide to rebrand after so many years operating under a different name?
Yeah.
And how has it impacted business?
Okay. Let me start by saying the rebranding created an opportunity. Previously, we were trading as Agility Logistics Limited. Agility Logistics Limited is a global company that has been incorporated in Kuwait and has our global headquarters in Abu Dhabi. We have our regional headquarters in Dubai. Now, Agility remains the parent company, and Aliad we've rebranded to incorporate other additional services. We have three additional verticals. Previously, we had only one vertical. Now we have 3 additional verticals, which is construction and engineering, facility management, and support services. This is in line with our global strategy.
And I'm informed that we are having some challenges with your microphone, but we will be very quickly taking a look at what exactly is happening. But I'm just in a quick one, is that we are talking about entrepreneurship, and more specifically when it comes to matters logistics, and we are having the CEO of Aliad who is with us today. But very quickly, as my technician takes a look at that microphone, East Africa Chairperson. Thank you, Regina, for that. Let's continue with the interactive segment. We have Stephen Wanyama, who is the CEO, Aliad Kenya, and we are looking at entrepreneurship. And moving from what we had touched earlier on, which industries should one, and especially in entrepreneurship, prioritize, and why, and especially more or less somebody in the logistics industry?
Yeah, thank you very much, Ben, once again. Unfortunately, I have a bias towards logistics. And logistics is very diversified. And we look at logistics as something that will continue being there. We ask ourselves in the next 50 years, how will you be moving food from one region to another. So in the current setup, we see there's a lot of growth in digitalization. There's a lot of demand from customers to see visibility of how their items are moving, and this is a very, very good area to invest in. Warehousing, for example, you can see the use of AI. If you visit some of the warehouses we have in the country, you will see a lot of investment in AI, where from the moment you inbound items into the warehouse and the EOQ, when it comes to economic order quantity, when it comes to supply, picking of items and supplying, there is a lot of involvement in digitalization. Secondly, investment in movement of vehicles, I mean, in the movable assets. It's still an industry where still has room for growth, because this area being, Kenya being a hub of this region, we still are going to receive more cargo. With stabilization of the region, you will see increase in business growth. And this is the area where we look at. And there will be evolvement, maybe from fossil fuel to e-trucks, but this is dependent on the ability to invest in them. But still, this is an area you can invest in. And most importantly, investment in logistics centers. Logistics centers are very important, especially consolidating cargo for small entrepreneurs who want to access global markets. And big players can come and consolidate and facilitate this trade. And this is happening now in the country, and we are into several discussions about it with several other of our partners.
You've mentioned partners. Let's look at the public-private partnership. How can we accelerate entrepreneurship in the country, and how has it worked for you?
Yeah. So first, locally, we know for you to engage into a very, let's say, capital-intensive and community-based project where we want to see the benefits not only for the economical sector, for the government sector, but also for the community, may take time to kind of consolidate these funds. So with involvement of private sector, you access a wider and multi-versatile access to funds with people who are interested in getting returns. In our group, we've worked successfully in Ivory Coast, for example, where Ivory Coast, the government wanted to build 90 hospitals to reduce the distance from home to the nearest hospitals for expectant mothers. And to raise these funds within a short time may require a lot of, let me say, lobbying, and let me say also involving people who have experience in the financial sector. But with discussions with partners like IMF, the Standard Chartered, you find that raising these funds happened very fast. And right now, they are 50% almost completing the project. And these hospitals are fully fledged hospitals with incinerators and theaters and enough beds to cover that community. So PPP, I think, is a very good opportunity for those who are interested to participate, where, let's say, the government may not be able to do it. And I think it's the way going forward, because at the moment, the country development is moving very fast, and you'll see there's a need for various services. And at the moment, I think this is one of the opportunities which we'll have to capitalize on.
I'm looking at logistics industry, which is, or sector, which is high capital intensive.
Correct.
What advice can you give somebody who wants to venture into entrepreneurship and more or less touch on logistics, which is a high capital intensive?
Yeah, thank you. You'll be surprised. You'll find Kenya has maybe more than 4,000 logistic companies, but very few have invested heavily. So for example, in freight forwarding, we have what we call NVOCC, non-vessel operating common carrier. So you find the big carriers have the vessels, but you're able to book space with these vessels. Same with the airlines. Not every logistics company has an aircraft or operates an airline. So you'll be able to partner with them through IATA or through local deals or local contracts, and you are able to book space and be able to move cargo. Now, once you've moved cargo, you reach a point where you have to hand over that cargo, to the statutory bodies in order to clear the cargo. Now we find that you'll still have to partner with some of these airlines who are operating ground handling agents or at the airport for the purpose of this particular job. So once you clear, you move to the next step, which is transport. Not all of these logistics companies have transport, and this is the biggest opportunity to talk about. So, like for example, at Allied Logistics Limited, we control over 400 assets, yet our own assets are only 100. We work with an additional maybe 300 partners in order to service our customers, because the mix of the service, you may not be able to, like for example, if you want to move heavy cargo, you may not necessarily have a low loader or a truck that will be able to move an out of gauge. We'll have to partner with someone as long as you are having the correct contract and you're in agreement. So to answer your question, no, you don't need to really invest. You just need to build a network and with your customers, and build a network with your service providers, and most importantly, have the right people within your team who can be able to interact with this, because sourcing and giving the service, you must invest in some human capacity.
It's a good idea, more or less like we do for vehicles like Ubers and
correct.
And also houses like Airbnb.
Correct.
South Africa and Egypt, they have a very robust logistic network.
Correct.
What lessons, key lessons, can we pick up as a country, especially for young entrepreneurs?
Yeah. I think in this region, one of the best countries that we can learn from is Egypt. Egypt had a vision, and that vision was to create a regional hub. And when I talk about region, as Africa in terms of logistics, so that they supply several products into this region. So I think Kenya, the good thing about Kenya, we are a diversified economy. We have a robust financial sector. We have a robust service economy in terms of telco, for example, health sector. We have a robust tourism and sector. So when you look at all this, if with proper planning and proper focus on these particular sectors, we'll be able to do. Now we have an opportunity to build a logistical hub with these infrastructural developments that we are seeing, the projects that are happening in Lamu, whatever is going to happen in the Nairobi, Mombasa Highway, the Rift Valley Highway, if they happen, all this will have a chance to build logistical centers. And there's also discussion, I understand, in Naivasha to also build a logistical center to consolidate fresh produce coming from the central part and some part of Rift Valley. All this, with proper planning, we will grow a very serious hub in this region, and we'll be able to export. And the main thing is to do it cheaply, because over reliance on air, you find that if you use railway and you use ocean freight, maybe the cost will come down, so that the farmer eventually is competitive abroad.
All right, as we wind up, how can countries, and especially companies in the East African region, Kenya is a powerhouse in the East African region, how can they leverage on Kenya to supply and also to better the business ecosystem, especially on logistics, as we wind up?
Yeah, I think, to me, the word is not really competing against each other, but complementing one another, because everybody has their strength. Like mining, for example, we are not very strong in mining. We have our neighbors who are very strong in mining. So whatever they do in that region, we as logisticians, we can see even now most of the Kenyan companies are doing the logistics for these companies. On our side, if we are growing our agricultural sector, of course, it will keep on growing, and we are able to be sustainable. Of course, we'll have to seek for markets for our produce here. We work with our neighbors, Tanzania. We have a lot of produce coming from them. And the same, if we are able to create a global market for even our neighboring countries, as long as we reach the government standards that are required, internationally we're able to achieve the required standards, we'll be able to supply these global markets we build each other. This is how the best way we can do it. And where there's instability, we work together to create stability so that we increase this market and we become self-sustainable within this region.
That has been the CEO of Allied Kenya. Thank you indeed so much for Bwana Wanyama for coming and indeed for your insight, and especially when it comes to logistics.